Bashim Al Shah, Bashim Rakakwada, Shalom to the 144,000, the rest of the elect out there, Shalom to you all. And I'm going to title this video, this is addressed to Chat GPT. And the question is Isaiah 34:4 or verse 4 referring to a mushroom cloud? Also, I'll combine these two titles into one. Now it doesn't want to come up. There we go. Is Revelation 6:14 referring to a mushroom cloud? This is also addressed to the chat. And we all know the precepts by heart. You don't even have to go to the list. You don't got to think about it. There's all kind of precepts in the Old Testament, the prophetic scriptures, and also in the New Testament. Revelation, even Peter spoke about it. Yahweh Shai spoke about thermonuclear destruction when he referred to the place where the worm dieth not and the fire is not quenched. He was talking about America. He was talking about this Babylon the Great, America set on fire, is going to look like the Gehenna, right? Valley of Hinnom. So he compared what America's going to look like to Gehenna. And it went over scholars' heads. It goes over a lot of Israelites' heads. In a place where the worm dieth not and the fire is not quenched, you got IUIC saying that that's actual hell. They're waxing worse and worse. So anyway, let's come on back. And you're going to see the similarity of these two questions are posted up. Is Isaiah 34 verse 4 referring to a mushroom cloud? So this is in the ESV, English Standard Version. I may go ahead and read it in the KJV, and then I may even go ahead and read it in the NLT. It says, "All the hosts of heaven shall ride away." Oh, that makes me think of Zechariah 14 and 12, which is a precept or scripture that goes with the destruction by fire. It's referring to, and the skies roll up like a scroll. Isaiah wrote down what he saw. What did he see? ICBM missiles hitting ground zero, meaning hitting the earth. He saw intercontinental ballistic missiles. All their hosts shall fall. Your military will fall. Most of your military will be over there. Well, it says all of it, pursuant to Joel. So most of your military will be in the Great Levant. It says, as leaves fall from the vine, like leaves falling from the fig tree. This verse is part of a prophetic oracle or vision of judgment against the nations, actually against one nation, but it says particularly Edom. So it's really one nation. It was a declaration to all the nations. Isaiah 34. I'll just go right to it. This is a verse in the King James. And all the hosts of heaven shall be dissolved, and the heavens. I'm not going to look up the word dissolve. Somebody do it for me. Look it up for me. And the heavens which when you look up in the sky, the cloud, those are the heavens, right? The firmament, and inside the firmament, the sky, which is considered the second heaven. Their slain also shall be cast out, and their stink, and that goes with Joel 2, shall come up out of their carcasses. It's talking about America on fire, and the mountains shall be melted with their blood. Mountains represent the other governments. They're going to all go down. And all the hosts of heaven shall be dissolved, and the heavens shall be rolled up together as a scroll, and all their hosts, their armies, shall fall down as a leaf falleth off from the vine, and as a falling fig tree from the falling vine, as a falling fig from the fig tree. In the Middle East, when they grow figs, they grew on trees, and if they were like getting ripe on the vine, a wind would come along and knock them down. A heavy wind would come along, and these figs will fall down in an arcing fashion, and that's exactly how the ICBM missile is going to, fall on this place, the two places. Then it also going to shake the whole planet Earth. For my sword shall be bathed in heaven, behold, it shall come down upon the Dumia and upon the people of my curse to judgment. So the people of his curse to judgment are who? The Idumeans, the Edomites. So now I'm going to read in the NLT. The heavens above will melt away and disappear like a rolled up scroll. The stars will fall from the sky. John, Revelation, and many other prophets, when they referred to the stars falling from the skies, you look up in the heavens on a clear night, and you see the star, depending on where you live, you're going to see stars all over the place in the heavens. So Isaiah was looking up in the heavens, he saw the stars, and he saw the stars actually fall to the earth. What he actually saw was the missiles coming. He mistaken those missiles, intercontinental ballistic missiles, for stars. He's like, oh shit, let me get out of here. So it says, the heavens above will melt away and disappear like a rolled up scroll. That's a mushroom cloud. But we're going to see what the chat says. The stars will fall from the sky, those are the ICBMs, like withered leaves from a grapevine, or shriveled figs, meaning ripe figs, from a fig tree. And when my sword has finished its work in the heavens, it will fall upon Edom. That's the nation that it's going to fall upon. The land of Edom is America. If you read the rest of this particular chapter, the nations I have marked for destruction. Well, Esau is going to be marked for this destruction, but the other nations are going to lose their power. So now let's come back to chat. So I read this in the ESV. This verse is part of a prophetic oracle of judgment against the nations, particularly Edom. It's highly poetic and apocalyptic. Apocalyptic means revealing or to reveal. That's what the word means. In your Catholic Bible, when you go to the book of Revelation, it'll say the book of the apocalypse. And apocalyptic future prophecy in nature, using vivid imagery to describe cosmic, meaning up there in the heavens, upheaval, because Isaiah was looking up in the heavens, and like I said, he saw it looking at the stars, and he said, wait a minute, the stars are coming to the earth. The stars are falling from earth. These were ICBMs. This is exactly what he saw. About the scroll imagery, the line, the skies roll up like a scroll, has prompted some to speculate whether it describes something like a mushroom cloud. So you get, so it's, hey, even Esau sees it. The chat is telling you there's some people out there that say, yo, this is talking about the mushroom cloud. Since when a nuclear explosion occurs, the atmosphere can appear to be violently pulled upward and shaped into a rolling scroll-like form. However, but it says that, let me read this again, the line, the skies roll up like a scroll, has prompted some to speculate whether it's a mushroom cloud or not. It says original context, this was written in the 8th century BCE, before the Common Era, long before nuclear technology. Yeah, because Isaiah and John, they had to write down what they saw. The only thing that it reminded them of, is a scroll being rolled together. The language here is typical of a Hebrew prophetic literature, where the cosmos, the heavens, meaning the stars and so forth, reacts to divine judgment. Compare with Revelation 6 and 14, which I put it in there in chat. So they're going to pretty much explain Revelation 6 and 14 the same way they're explaining Isaiah 34 and 4, which echoes its language. So both Isaiah and John saw the missiles hit ground zero, the stars falling from heaven, and the mushroom cloud. So Isaiah and John both refer to it as the scrolls being rolled together. Imagery rolling up the skies like a scroll, like refers to the dramatic visual of the heavens being torn back, a metaphor for chaos or divine intervention, not a specific 20th century weapon. We know what it is, okay? Apocalyptic genre. This type of imagery is symbolic, not necessarily literal. They hoping it's not going to be literal. It's meant to evoke awe, fear, and a sense of total destruction or divine wrath. Right, the divine wrath is going to be done through the Most High's, one of his hosts. And one of his hosts are the missiles. That's why when you go to Joel chapter 2, it refers to the missiles as soldiers jumping in the windows. You got to read it. But now, when I first came in, Ariel taught, he went through Joel 2, and he said, that's Jake going in the Edomites' windows and busting them up. And when he said that, it never sat right with me. So as I grew in the spirit, I said, that's definitely not talking about Jake. That's talking about missiles. So great men are not always wise. Joel 2. blow the trumpet in Zion. That's what we're doing. That's what the prophets are doing. We're blowing the trumpet and sounding alarm in my holy mountain. So what are we doing? We're telling the people that you're Israelites. You got to come back to not necessarily the Lord's statutes and commandments, but you got to come back to knowing that you're an Israelite and start understanding the scriptures. Eat the roll, so to speak, as we feed it to you. Jeremiah 3, I believe that's 15. Will feed you with, I will set up men that will feed you. And not so many words, I'm merely paraphrasing. Feed you with knowledge and understanding. So the ones of you that don't accept it, you're slated to be part of that fire. The ones of you that do accept it, and you come on a level to be a teacher, that most likely, if you endure to the end, that means that you're one of the elect. And you're going to be delivered. So we're blowing the trumpet, and the elect are coming into this. A lot of them are saying, y'all got to stop. Like we're going to, because this nigga said stop teaching on the streets. We're going to oblige the nigga. Are you crazy? And look, just walk on the other side of the street. If you see guys on the corner, you look like Israelites, just make a right turn or a left turn. Don't go near them so you don't got to hear them. Because you heard it already. That's all you got to do is hear it, and whether you hear or forbear. And that the blood is off of our hands. It said, let all inhabitants of the land tremble. What land? Babylon the Great. For the day of Yahweh cometh, for it is nigh at hand. And Trump is pushing it along. The day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds and thick darkness, because everything gonna go black in the skies, because the missiles are gonna cover the sun and anything that's in space, mainly the sun. As the morning spread upon the mountains, right? As the morning spread upon the mountains, meaning the sunrise, you look at the mountains and you can see how that light climbs on the mountain, right? So that's how the missiles are gonna come. And when it hits ground zero, the radiation is going to climb, a besom of destruction, right? It speaks about a wind. I believe it says the hot wind in Jeremiah 50 or 51. I went through it the other day. A great people and a strong. So Ariel would say that, well, that's Jake. And the Most High put the spirit. No. A great people and a strong, what Joel saw were missiles in formation. There hath not been ever the like, neither shall be any more after it. In other words, once these missiles are shot off and does what it's supposed to do what it do, it ain't gonna be needed no more, because there's not gonna be any more war. We're gonna be in our kingdom, and we're gonna rule the nations, and with spiritual power, even to the years of many generations. Meaning, there's never gonna be a nuclear. There's never gonna be a war. A fire devoureth before them, and behind them a flame burneth. That's talking about the missile. The front of the missile is a warhead that does the damage. The rest of the missile is a delivery system. It delivers it from one continent to the other, and the like I said, the warhead or the multiple warheads, it does the damage. It says, a fire devoureth before them, and behind them a flame a flame burneth. So he saw the tell of the missile. The land is as the Garden of Eden, meaning you had people living on the land. This land is talking about Babylon the Great, the U.S., before them, and behind them a desolate wilderness. So, wait a minute. What is going to happen to Babylon? It's not going to be inhabited by man no more, only by doleful creatures, and it's going to become a desert. Now, if you go to any desert on a planet, you have desert-like creatures on that planet, on that desert. Excuse me. Yeah, and nothing shall escape them. Anybody that's in America, you ain't getting away. The appearance of them is as the appearance of horses. This is what it said in Revelation 9, 16, around there. I'm not going to go to it. I may have to go to it, but now I heard ISUPK say in Revelation 9. I'm sorry, Revelation 9. I believe it's like 14, 16. They were saying that that's talking about angels, 200,000. No, it's talking about missiles. But it traveled like horses. You know how horses charge in formation? And as horsemen, so shall they run, like the noise of chariots on the tops of mountains. Shall they leap? Leap meaning they're going to come from one continent to another continent. For example, they're going to come from Russia and they're going to go to Babylon the Great. It says like a noise of a flame of fire, because you're going to hear that fire, that devoureth the stubble, as a strong people, which are the missiles, set in battle array before their faces. The people shall be much pained, weeping and gnashing of teeth. All faces shall gather blackness, soot. They shall run like mighty men. They shall climb the wall like men of war. They climb the wall like men of war is talking about these missiles. And they shall march. They're going to come in formation. And Esau's not, Babylon will not be able to stop it. You can read about that in Nahum chapter 3. Because they're going to bitch up on that day. Everyone, and when you see the missiles, you're going to know it's some missiles. You know you're going to run, but there's no place to run. There's a song, no place to run to, baby, no place to hide. Well, they might be playing that song on that day. And when that day comes, it's going to be business as usual. People are going to be shopping. People are going to be talking shit. People are going to be talking about who's going to win the playoffs, who's going to win the World Series, who's going to win the fight between such and so. You're going to have a man and a woman walking down the aisle, tying a knot. You're going to have a man and man walking down the aisle, tying a knot. Woman and woman walking down the aisle, tying a knot. They're going to be doing what the fuck they doing now. Shopping. Women be shopping, inside joke. And then they're going to look up and they're going to see. And they're going to weep and they're going to gnash their teeth. Let me hold on to this. I'm going to come back to this. It says, before their face the people shall be much pained. I have that painful look in their face. It said, they shall run like mighty men. They shall climb the wall like men of war. These are missiles. And they shall march everyone on his way, and they shall not break their ranks, because they're missiles. And that's what Joel saw, actual missiles in formation. Neither shall one thrust another. They shall walk everyone in his path, and when they fall upon the sword, they shall not be wounded. Now you have what do you call that? What do they call it? The dome, something Iron Dome, which is Israel possesses that, which they say when the missiles are shot on them, the Iron Dome, they can intercept the missiles, which they saying that sometimes they can and sometimes they can't. Read Numbers, Nahum. Did I say Numbers 4? I meant to say Nahum 3. It said they shall run to and fro in the city. What city? What city? Babylon. Because they're coming from different directions, too. They're going to be coming from the east, and they're going to be coming from the west. They shall run upon the wall. They shall climb up upon the houses. They shall enter in at the window like a thief. What is that talking about? What Peter said. They shall come as a thief in the night. Sneak attack. The earth shall quake because of these missiles pelting the earth. The earth shall quake before them. The heavens shall tremble. The sun and the moon shall be darkened. And the stars shall withdraw their lighting. There's shining. Why? Because the missiles are going to blacken everything out. And everything, the temperature's going to go down too. But then the temperature's going to go right back up. And you done. And Yahweh shall utter his voice before his army, which are the missiles. Not talking about David's army. It's not talking about Israelites. For his camp is very great. The missile's camp is these silos in Job chapter 20. For he is strong that executeth his word. The Most High said it's going to happen. So let it be written. So let it be done. For the day of Yahweh is great and very terrible, and who can abide it? Because if you're not out of here, you're going to die. You're going to get burnt up. I mean, it goes on and on. And this is definitely describing the thermonuclear destruction. The terrible visitation. Most High going to visit you with his army, which are the missiles. Now, if you can't see it, something wrong with you. Let's come on back over here. Okay. It says compared with Revelation 6 verse 14, which echoes this language. So what John saw the same exact thing that Isaiah saw. Imagery rolling up the skies like a scroll likely refers to the dramatic visual Oh, I lost my place. Give me a second here. Give me a second here. There we go. Imagery. Rolling up the skies like a scroll likely refers to the dramatic visual of the heavens being torn back, a metaphor for chaos or divine intervention, not a specific 20th century weapon. Yeah, because they don't know. Esau doesn't know it. Daniel 12 and 10. Apocalyptic genre. I read this. I'm reading again. This, give me a second. This type of imagery is symbolic, not necessarily literal. You notice they said not necessarily literal. It is literal. It's meant to evoke awe, fear, and a sense of the total destruction or divine wrath. Right, wrath meaning anger or judgment. A sense of total destruction, because Babylon will be, Isaiah 13, to destroy the whole land. Singular. So is it referring to a mushroom cloud? And they say no, not directly. In other words, no, not directly. While the imagery might remind modern readers of a mushroom cloud, and when we read that, that's talking about a mushroom cloud. There is no evidence the prophet Isaiah had anything like that in mind. No, he saw missiles. He saw the missiles hit ground zero. He saw the mushroom cloud. He referred to it as the heavens being rolled together like a scroll. The similarities are coincident. Yeah, that's Esau for you, man. Stemming from poetic language that describes the sky recoiling or unraveling during cataclysmic events. Well, that's when that happens, you get what is called a mushroom cloud. Matter of fact, let me do this. Here they say it again. I'll bring it on home, right? Isaiah 34:4 is not referring to a mushroom cloud. It's apocalyptic poetry describing divine judgment. What do you think divine judgment is? In symbolic terms, resemblance to a mushroom cloud is a modern visual interpretation, not the intended meaning. Okay, good, Mr. Know-it-all. Now you know what I wanted to do? I wanted to take something out. I wanted to bring out a word. Right, it says unraveling during cataclysmic events. But there was something I wanted to bring out. Okay, you know what? Let's go to, now we're going to go to chat. And we're going to ask them, is Revelation 6, verse 14 referring to a mushroom cloud? And check the similarity. And Revelation 6 verse 14 KJV says, and the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together, and every mountain and island were moved out of their places, because it's going to quake. The whole earth is going to quake. Some people have speculated that this verse could describe a mushroom cloud from a nuclear explosion, and they're right, especially the imagery of the heaven departing as a scroll when it is rolled together. Oh, this is what I want to do. Just came back to me. Mushroom cloud. I want to go to look at that. Look at that. Let me open up. Let me go to these images. So, bro, if you ever dealt with a scroll on a Passover, that's what it looks like. It looks like a scroll being rolled back together. When you do the Torah blessing, that's exactly what it looks like. That's why both Isaiah and John, and I proved to you that they were reading out of scrolls during John's lifetime. Look at this. Scroll being rolled back together. The mushroom cloud is a distinctive cloud formation shaped like a mushroom that typically results from a large explosion. It's most famously associated with nuclear detonation, but can also be formed by other powerful explosions like volcanoes, eruptions, or even large conventional ones. Because it like sucks in the air. It pulls in the air. Like you got a fan, you feel the cool on the fan, you go to the back of the fan, it sucks in the air. But can also be formed by other powerful explosions like volcanoes, volcanic eruption, or even large conventional ones. The cloud's shape is a result of the rapid rise of buoyant mass of hot, low-density gas, which creates a vortex. So what Isaiah and John saw was a vortex ring that draws up debris and other materials. So it sucks in the stuff from around it into this which is a scroll. You know? Then you got the top of it, you got the mushroom cloud. That's it. That's a scroll right there. That's a scroll. This right here is a scroll being rolled together. Scroll being rolled together. And the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together. And every mountain, which is a nation, the nations are not going to be, all the different nations are not going to be hit with a missile. Babylon's going to be hit with a missile. And over there in the Levant. And islands were moved out of their places. So any place that, city, any country that wasn't hit by the missiles, there's going to be a lot of damage because this is going to be a world earthquake. That's never been heard of. There's no such thing. They never heard of a world earthquake. So that's why we got to be out of there in them ships. And we're going to look down and see the reward of the wicked, which conclude Israelites and other nations in Edom. Some people have speculated that this verse could describe a mushroom cloud from a nuclear explosion, especially the imagery of the heaven departing as a scroll when it is rolled together, which can resemble how the atmosphere is disturbed and rolled back during such an explosion. The upward blast and resulting shock wave could seem similar to the visual of a scroll rolling back, because they didn't understand the concept of a mushroom cloud. However, here's a more grounded take. Literal interpretation, it describes a cosmic, which is outer atmosphere, cataclysm, a universal destruction, possibly symbolic, metaphorical, or apocalyptic in a more traditional sense. The imagery fits with the dramatic, poetic language common in apocalyptic literature. Well, these Edomites don't understand apocalyptic literature or revelation. Symbolic interpretation. Many scholars view revelation as symbolic, not literal prophecy, because they don't know nothing. The scroll image may symbolize divine judgment. It is divine judgment. It's not symbolizing divine judgment. It is divine judgment, or the unraveling of creation. Not a specific technological event, more interpretation. The mushroom cloud idea is modern. Now y'all should be familiar with this word. Exegesis. That's what a vocabulary we use. I'm gonna look that word up. And that pretty much means you read a verse or a scripture or whatever, and you give the interpretation of it. And this word is not like a word to be used for Bible references. I'll show you in a minute. Exegesis. I say extra cheeses. Extra cheese that. So let's see what it means. Definition. I want to see how you can pronounce it. Exegesis is the interpretation of a text. Break it down, like I said, especially a biblical text, by reading one's own ideas, opinions, or biases into it, rather than drawing out the intended meaning of the author or the text. It's essentially the opposite of exegesis, which involves carefully examining the text within its original context to understand its true meaning. Now, you know what I'm going to do? Let me read that again. Let me read exegesis, which involves carefully examining the text within its original context to understand its true meaning. Meaning, don't interpret it. Whatever it says, that's what it means. And in other words. So, let's come on back. Modern interpretations. The mushroom cloud. The mushroom cloud idea is modern exegesis, reading contemporary ideas into ancient texts. And that's what we do. We'll read something about John, Revelation 20, and basically what we're doing is we're bringing it out and telling you what it means. The Apostle John wouldn't have had a nuclear explosion in mind. But we can, because we're in the modern world, right? That said, people have long tried to match Revelation's imagery to current events. And that's, if it's future prophecy, then you have to match it to current events, technologies, or disasters. So is it referring to a mushroom cloud? No, not directly. And it says pretty much the same thing that Isaiah 34 said when you go to the chat. So the chat is kind of telling you the truth, but then they're saying no, not directly. Because who put this information in? Edomites. So anyway, with that, I'm going to say shalom on to the next shalom.